Why? So a catfish has fins but no scales. You would stay away from that. Squid, octopus. They're not shellfish, but you stay away. No scales, no fins. Why? Anything that doesn't have scales and fins, shellfish, and the other items I mentioned, squid, octopus, catfish, they're filters. They absorb whatever toxin is in the water, and they keep the toxins in their flesh that you are eating. This is why when I grew up in Boston, we had sometimes the red tide. The red tide would come in, which are these red microorganisms like an algae, and they're poisonous. You couldn't swim. You couldn't go out and swim in the ocean. If there was a red tide, you'd get sick. But you also couldn't eat the shellfish that came out of Boston Harbor or the area because those shellfish absorbed the toxin in the water, and you would get sick or potentially die from eating anything that came out of the water when there was a red tide.
Shalom, shalom. Call Haloyim La, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, MAKAKODASH. Now, my honor to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, a teacher were well. Peace and salutations be to the hopeful elect. And brother Tazma, I'm coming at you from the prophets in Babylon camp here in Tampa, Florida. Double honors to the elders. Oh, I already gave double honors, but once again, double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, a teacher were well. All right, this lesson is going to be going into Leviticus laws. Based upon this lesson, this video that came out of a guy speaking on the catfish, telling you why you can't eat it because it has fins and no scales. Now, these are indicators that the fins and the scales are indicators of a fish, whether the fish may be clean or unclean, and that tells you whether you can eat it or not. So the Lord put signs on the animals so that you can see if you can eat it or not, so that you don't have to ask the Lord, is this good to eat or not? Every time before you eat something, eat an animal, every time before you eat flesh. So every animal has its function, and every organism has its function in the world. Okay, you got animals that clean the earth, like the swine, like the pig. Okay, or like the raccoon. You got animals that cleans the water, like catfish, like oysters, shrimp. These animals are used as filters. Okay, you got a filter. You got animals that filter the water and animals that filter the land. Okay, and both just do their job. And you got these damn heathens, and also Jake, whom the laws were given to. The laws were given to Jacob, but now Jacob is just in a Gentile state of mind. So they eat in these filtering animals as delicacies. They're eating these unclean animals and abominable animals as delicacies, paying top dollar for it. This is the book of Leviticus chapter 11 and verse 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. So it's telling you what you can eat of all the animals that are in the waters. Now you got people eating octopuses, squid, You got people eating eels, and sharks, all kinds of random, creatures under the water are being eaten. Naturally, you'll see Moab doing stuff like this, but you got the whole world doing these things. Moab just goes above and beyond eating these things, man. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, and the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. So whatever fish has, usually you only really see a fish with fins and scales. It says, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, and the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. So that is your whole diet summed up in one sentence. That's your whole diet in the water, summed up in one sentence, summarized into one little sentence, so you can know it's not that deep, it's not that complicated. If you eat anything that's in the waters, catch something out of the water, it must have fins and scales. That is an indicator that it's a clean fish. That's a good fish for you to eat. That fish eats the herbs and the greenery of the ocean, you know, of the sea. Okay, and the animals on land that's clean for you, they eat the grass and the hay and things of that nature. But you don't catch them eating dead things or eating unclean things. That's just not healthy for you. You catch animals like the swine doing that because their job is to clean the earth. Okay, so you had this post where you're seeing a fish bowl. Okay, one had no oysters in it and one had oysters in it. And guess which one had the clear water? Okay, the one that had the oysters had the clear water. All right, because the oysters clean and filter the water. But you got people with putting oysters on their side of their plates, dipping them in sauce and shit, man. You know, how nasty is that? How sick is that? The Lord gave us the laws, gave us the Israelites, gave his children the laws so that they can avoid these things and avoid sickness and death. Okay, but Jake ignored it and went and ate him anyway. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. So these things are an abomination to you, Jake. You know, you shouldn't have these things. You shouldn't eat these things because you got to consider their diet. What are they eating? Consider what you consume. All right, is the thing that you're consuming good things? You know, and if not, then you should most definitely put it down. All right, it's not for you. And you see these heathens eating it, and they don't really suffer many precautions. Sometimes you'll see them suffering from a virus or a bacterium that was in the unclean food that they ate. You know, and they always blame it on undercooking or whatever. But these animals are unclean from the jump. They were created to be unclean, you know, and you ate it, and now you're sick. Every now and then you'll see a heathen get sick with these things, but Jake, oh yeah, the laws are given to Jake, you know. And what is a transgression of the law? Sin. And what are the wages of sin? Death. Okay, so there's obviously going to be a price for the things that you do going against these scriptures, man. They're given for advice for our sake. It says, they shall be even an abomination to you. You shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. If you eat of their flesh or carcasses, it's going to be an abomination to you, man. All right, you need to leave these animals alone, and the ocean will be a lot cleaner. It'll be a lot more full of life. These things regulate the balance of life in the waters, just like the swine and the unclean animals on the land, the roaches and the rats. They may seem pessimistic or bothersome to you, but really they're just regulating the balance and the cleaning of the earth, you know. But ye shall have the carcasses in abomination, okay? It says, whatsoever hath no fins nor scales, and I was repeating the same thing to you, because this is very important. You must understand these things. Whatsoever, what scripture say? My people are stiff-necked people, so they don't listen. They go and do these things anyways. That's why the scriptures are constantly repeating themselves. Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. Does that mean that if the fish have fins but no scales, you can eat it because it has fins? No, they must. The requirement is that they must have both of these things, fins and scales. Okay, does that mean if the fish have scales but not fins, you can eat it? No, man. They must have both of these things, fins and scales. If they have one without the other, or none, either of them, you cannot eat these things. These are indicators that these fishes are doing their job to clean the ocean. They are the maintenance workers. Okay, don't eat the maintenance workers. Eat the things that the Lord given you to eat. There's a lot of animals that you can eat that are clean. You know, there's an abundance of them. Okay, So why go and eat the things that are not clean? That's all I really wanted to touch, man. With that, I give all glory, honor, and praises Salakia. I give all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Till next time, I truly hope you are edified with this lesson. Shalom.